All upcoming fresh servers explained. You know what? I might watch this video actually.
Version I plan to play as well.
What's
First,
up?
though, we've got to talk
I'm gonna
about
watch
what's
this.
different with this classic fresh, and there are some
Okay.
significant changes. For one thing, we are getting dual spec. That means if you're playing
Where's this music coming from?
a tank warrior, for example,
bad.
you could also be playing a DPS warrior on the side. They're also giving us plenty of quality of
So here's my deal. I know there's dual spec. I'm going to be playing a red paladin, and I am never going to get dual spec because I'm never going to not be a red paladin. If anybody asks me to heal, I'm not going to do that. If anybody asks me to tank, that's never going to happen. But I'm going to say no.
life. Things like instant mail, a removal of the buff and debuff limit, which will make the raids easier. The real big change, though, only 3 major servers per region. 1 PvP, 1 PvE, 1 classic hardcore. Removing the massive server list is a very welcome change, but it still means you have a major decision to make, one that'll have impact all the way through Classic. See, we're not just getting a Classic server. We're getting a version of the game where every phase will last about 3 months, but at the end of Classic, somewhere around February 2026,
Okay, how long before Blizzard is selling level boosts on these servers? Is it going to be 1 month or 6 months? Because you know they will be selling level boosts on these fucking servers. You know they will.
we're going into the Burning Crusade.
6
Your
months?
decision
Okay.
on which server you play really will have some long-lasting implications, so let's talk about it. So starting with the biggest reason to play a PvP server, we've
Okay.
got the population. If you look at the population of any of the versions of Classic, they're always significantly bigger for the PvP servers.
Wrong.
That means it's
wrong,
easier to
wrong.
find groups. It's
Wrong. Most people normally play PvE servers.
easier to raid, and it's also easier to find communities of people. The more population, the more different communities, the more people you might become friends with, which is a huge positive for me. Also on the population topic, one huge benefit of PvP servers, you can transfer from PvP to PvE down the road, but you cannot transfer from PvE to PvP, which means
Don't
let's
care.
say your server ends
It doesn't matter because you would never even want to do
up
that.
dying. Well, you're
Doesn't
kind of out of
matter.
luck if you're on a PvE server, whereas PvP always has options. Another really big pro of PvP servers is the events. Servers like Deviant Delight a few months ago, they proved that having big events, massive PvP events, fighting over territories, locations like Arathi Highlands, it's just really exciting. Because you can't really PvP on a PvE server, these kind of events, they're just kind of missing on a PvE server, unfortunately. Perhaps the biggest thing about PvP servers that gives them a huge advantage, though, is that if you want to rank, if you want to be overpowered when you queue into Battlegrounds, people on PvP servers, they're going to have a significant advantage on the ranking side of things. See, there's going to be a gap before the raids come out where you're going to be able to rank and get honor, and the people on these PvP servers, they're going to have a huge honor advantage.
Does he know how this works? Like that doesn't matter, right? I don't think that fucking matters at all. Like 0%.
If the Battlegrounds were separate, that would be great for PvE players, but they're not. So you're going to have those very overpowered, overgeared players fighting the same exact players that are on the PvE servers. Personally, I don't think that kind of gear advantage is fair at all. But if you disagree in the comments, let me know. So
Okay.
as for cons for PvP servers, there are quite a few, which is the first one being that you're going to get griefed all the time. You're leveling, you're getting griefed. You're getting world buffs, you're getting griefed. You're going to your raid, you're getting killed all the time. And you have no say in when you're fighting or why you're fighting. You're
Yeah,
just
it's fucking
constantly
annoying.
thrown into it.
True.
Historically,
Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. I feel like in Vanilla WoW, for every one really, really good world PvP like encounter, there's like probably 15 terrible ones.
there's also an
I
imbalanced
don't
side
care.
of the PvP, where sure, they're going to try to make the servers 50-50, but the reality is one side is going to be more into PvP. It's usually Horde. Even if it's a 50-50 server, the Alliance, they don't really want a PvP. They want to do the raids. And so it ends up being very imbalanced, even if on paper you're 50-50. That also ties into a big complaint with PvP servers, the focus on numbers. See, classic WoW PvP, it's not about having a professional tournament scene or anything like that. It really is about which group is more organized, which group has more numbers. If you're a great PvPer, but you're fighting 100 players, you really don't have any chance of winning. That means the best players in Classic for PvP are the ones that can organize, the ones that have streams, the ones that have big mega guilds. That also means you're rarely getting those
True.
fair 1v1 PvP fights.
So I gotta say, man, I think this PvP Fresh is actually going to be really fucking good because I don't think you have any giant streamers that are like making mega guilds. I think all the streamers are doing OnlyFans on the hardcore server. This PvP Fresh is going to be really, really good because there's like no streamers.
Actually looking for on a PvP server. Also, because everybody's getting grief, they're getting camped all the time. It means that people aren't out in the open world in places like Stranglethorn Vale nearly as much. Instead, they're focused on dungeons, they're focused on locking themselves away in instance. The game doesn't feel as lively. If you're just looking for that leveling experience, PvP is usually not the best way to do it.
I just saw a Staysafe video in my boomer dad's YouTube recommendations. He skipped it, but still. Bro, you need to go tell him to watch it. Go tell your dad to watch the video right now.
That being said, if you're still going PvP after all of this, let me know in the comments. I'm still on the fence. So moving into the classic fresh PvE server discussion, the biggest pro, obviously you're not getting griefed, you're not getting camped all the time. Also, this is arguably the actual way the devs intended for you to level and play the game. Nobody thought, hey, what if we designed the game around people getting ganked all the time? That also means you're able to experience the game the way it was meant to be played. Open world leveling. You don't have to worry about getting killed. You get to enjoy the zones and really chill and relax and play at your own pace. PvE servers also really value your time a lot better than PvP. If you have a raid at 7 p.m., you can rest assured everybody's gonna make it. Nobody's getting camped at the world buffs. Nobody's getting camped on the way to the raid. It is a very much more time-efficient mode if you're a dad, if you're somebody without a ton of free time.
That's me. I am a dad, and I am somebody without a ton of free time. Let's go.
Then PvE is the way to go.
Yes.
There are those big negatives, though, with PvE. For example, the server populations. You look at some of these PvE servers, they have maybe even a third of the population of a PvP server. That means the less groups, less raids. And it also means you're probably going to have to really rely on dual spec to play a tank spec, to play a healer spec. There are just going to be a lot fewer tanks and a lot fewer healers to choose from. Another really big problem with the PvE servers, if you drill into the data of a PvP server, this is where the tryhards are, this is where the sweats are. So not only are they having that huge gear advantage because they spent more time ranking and open world PvPing before the Battlegrounds came out, but they're also going to have that raid gear advantage. The most tryhard players, they're not the ones wiping on Ragnaros for 10 hours. They're the ones doing the split runs and getting double the amount of loot. And it's just a very imbalanced situation. Then we get to my most controversial concern about PvE servers, which is that it's all about the actual game itself. Where I'm in this point in my life where I look at Classic as a sandbox, where open world PvP and events and things like this, they're really the big draw of Classic.
Okay, if I only had 3 hours a day to play, 3 or 4 hours a day, I would play PvP server if I was not a streamer. Yeah, if I was just like a regular guy, I would play PvP. PvP is a lot of fun. But like my deal is, if I only have 3 or 4 hours a day to play, I don't want 90% of that time to be just getting butt fucked on stream by some spastic retards that want attention. Fuck that. Fuck that.
Never been a huge fan of saying Classic raids are perfect, or that I just want to go back and do them over and over and over again forever. I also don't love this time-efficient aspect of the game. Logging in, doing the raid, leaving again. I want to play the game and do events and really have dynamic gameplay.
Don't stream on Twitch, just kick. This is something I will tell you. 100% of my World of Warcraft streaming content, it's going to be here on Kick. I was debating how exactly I want to do this. All of it is going to be here on Kick. Still, the plan for Twitch is like 1 day a week doing some variety content. We'll do some like random game on Steam or something for 4 or 5 hours, just a week, like 5 hours a week on Twitch, just 1 day a week. Everything else, reaction and World of Warcraft gameplay, it's on Kick. And the reason why is Santa Maria still here. Santa Maria, do we have any Kick staff here? I am just loving Kick. Like, I am having so much more fun on Kick. Like, I genuinely like the chat vibe, the community more. It's like a different vibe. I feel like I'm not walking on eggshells. I don't know. I just feel much more at ease. I feel way more relaxed on Kick than over on Twitch. So now I just want to do everything over here pretty much. That's how
And
I feel.
PvE servers, personally, I feel, are a little bit too static. That being said, though, maybe that's your idea of a good time, and if you're going PvE, I would love to hear from you in the comments. So there is one final option, though, and that would be the hardcore dedicated servers. See, the immediate plus to those hardcore servers, you're getting an experience with high stakes, with real meaning, with real purpose. At any moment, you might die and lose everything. Because of those high stakes, too, every piece of gear, everything you accomplish, it has real meaning. It's like a golden ticket, something that really increases your chance of survival. At the same time, you're experiencing a true community, something where people go into Discord channels to do dungeons together, something where every death, every moment ends up being talked about by the entire community. And while the PvP...
Here's my thing with what he's saying about hardcore. It's the community. You hop in a Discord, I have autism. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be in a Discord call with a bunch of other fucking streamers. I don't want to hear their jokes. I don't want to hear about their day. I don't want to hear... I don't care about what the other streamer did. I am autistic. The reason why I play World of Warcraft is because I am autistic. The reason why I became a streamer. I'm going to tell you, the only reason I became a streamer was so that I could play World of Warcraft all day. Classic WoW got announced in 2017, and I said, man, I'm a wagey. I don't have a lot of money. I want to play Classic WoW all day. How can I make that happen? I can either try to get on welfare. I can marry a European person. I can marry a Swedish person and try to get welfare in Sweden. Or I can become a streamer. And out of all these options, it seemed easiest to become a streamer. So the only reason I became a streamer was because I have autism and I wanted to play World of Warcraft all day. That's it. That's literally the only reason. And then, things evolved the way they did, and here we are now. But the reason why I became a streamer is because Classic WoW got announced, and I'm autistic, and I wanted to play Classic WoW all day. It was a means to an end. But anyway, I did not become a streamer or a World of Warcraft player because I'm super social or I wanted to hang out in Discord with all the cool people and shoot the shit. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that.
And the PvP fresh servers, they're all focused on the end game. Some people, they don't love the end game, and hardcore, it's all about leveling. You could take 3 months to hit 60 in hardcore, and you could go 1 hour a day or less and really never fall behind. It's just so much more about the journey instead of the destination. But the high stakes of hardcore, it does come with some very big negatives too. For one thing, you could spend 3 months leveling a character only to die to a server disconnect, or just die to a very minor mistake, and you have...
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Dude, you know what would be so funny? Is if all the OnlyFans people died to a DC. Oh man, that would be so funny. God, that would be so funny.
To start all over again. Then your dead character is completely unplayable,
Just kidding.
or
Just
you
kidding.
have to go to the fresh PvE servers. And then the biggest strength of hardcore, the community. It's also the biggest weakness because you've got griefers that come and they try to kill you and make your character go back to the start. Or you have a group in dead mines and they start wiping and they leave you to die and they all teleport out of the dungeon. You might end up dying for somebody else's mistake that had nothing to do with you. And then there's the final point, which is that hardcore is simply not a relaxing mode. It's something where you have to focus all the time. You can't let your guard down. If your kid needs something for 30 seconds, you're probably gonna die at some point because of it. And
okay, I'm gonna say something that like maybe it sounds egotistical or something. I don't know, but it's not. It's actually not. Just let me say what I need to say. I feel like other streamers have to be dying intentionally on hardcore. They have to be dying for content because I don't die 1/10 as much as the other streamers. And I'm not even like the best WoW player. Like I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, you guys have to, like, there's no way you died to that or to this or to, like, you have to be faking it, right? Because like you're probably better at this game than me, to be honest. I'm like mediocre. I don't know. They've got to be fucking doing something. But you know what? To be fair, I need to give myself credit. I probably am one of the best hardcore players. Hello, I am actually really good at hardcore. I am good at hardcore. I got world first hardcore Kel'Thuzad. Okay, I am good at hardcore. I'm not a fucking top tier PvPer or anything like that, but I am good at hardcore. I'm good at hardcore.
that may not be a good experience. Personally though, despite the
I
flaws,
used to
I'm
be
still
back
planning
in
on
my
playing
prime.
hardcore at least the first time around. The high stakes, the meaningful gameplay, the leveling focus, they're all much more appealing to me than just rushing Molten Core again. Still, I would love to hear your thoughts on which server you plan to go to, PvP, PvE, or maybe the hardcore. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscription button and the notification bell.
Dude, you know what? Just fucking... Dude.